fifth grade, and welcome to Distance Learning Week 3. This week we are going to focus on equivalent fractions. This is something that we worked on just a little bit before you left, and it's something that we're going to hit very hard this week because we're going to continue with some fifth grade fraction work next week. So equivalent fractions is really just a review of a skill that you should have learned and practiced a lot last year in fourth grade, but I want to hit it again so that you're very confident with what we're going to practice next week. Breaking down the word equivalent, the base root word there is equal. So equivalent fractions are two fractions that look different but are actually equal to each other. They have the same value or the same worth. I know that not all of you learn through music, but a couple of you do. So I'm going to play a YouTube song for you, and I guarantee you it will get stuck in your head. I previewed it a couple days before I started doing this video, and I found myself humming it as I went to bed that night. So let me just switch to that. I might have to skip an ad and a song about equivalent fractions.
We want equivalent fractions, and how do we get that done? We can multiply by a form of 1. We can divide by a form of 1. The property of 1 has a claim to fame. Multiply or divide by 1, and the value stays the same. Multiply a fraction by a form of 1. You change its name, but the value stays the same. We want equivalent fractions, and how do we get that done? We can multiply by a form of 1. We can divide by a form of 1. 1/2 can go by many other names. Multiply by 2 halves, and 2/4 is the same. Multiply by 3/3, now 1/2 is 3/6. Multiply by 4/4, now 1/2 is 4/8. Multiply by 5/5, now 1/2 is 5/10. I could go on and on, but this song has an end. We want equivalent fractions, and how do we get that done? We can multiply by a form of 1. We can divide by a form of 1.
Did it get stuck in your head? I sure hope so, because that's a phrase that I use again and again as I teach equivalent fractions. I'm going to switch over to my smart notebook. And as always, I want these problems to be something that you go and you solve with me. So what you're going to need is, of course, a piece of paper. It does not need to be lined this week, but a piece of paper. And let's see, a multiplication chart, as always, and something to write with. I'll see you back in just a minute, please. All right, so again, we are working on equivalent fractions. And just that reminder that we want equivalent fractions, and equivalent means equal to. So as that song said, we want equivalent fractions. And how do we get that done? There's two different ways. We can multiply or we can divide by a form of 1. So we've got this outline, this shadow outline of the number 1 here. Just kind of as a visual reminder that we are going to multiply or divide by a form of 1. If you think all the way back to 3rd grade, anything times 1 is that number. So 10 times 1 is 10. 6 times 1 is 6. 5 times 1 is 5. 100 times 1 is 100. So anytime you multiply by 1, it doesn't change that number. So let's see. What I want to focus on here is just reviewing for you real quick what 1 can look like. So if I have, let's say, a cookie, and I cut it into 4 pieces, if I'm going to eat, here's my cookie. If I cut that into 4 pieces, Just visualize that for me, please. If you cut that into 4 pieces, if you eat the whole thing, how many pieces did you eat? Looks like I didn't have this set up as infinite cloner. So let's see. Start that over again. If I cut that into 4 pieces and you eat the whole thing, how many pieces did you eat? You ate 4. So 4 over 4 is a form of 1 because you ate the whole thing. Let's try another one. Let's say you still have that cookie, and this time you're going to cut it into 8 pieces. Pieces are a little bit smaller this time. So this is what you're copying down onto your piece of paper. You cut that cookie into 8 pieces, and you eat the whole entire thing. You start out small, you eat 1 piece, and you eat 2 pieces, but by the time you're done, you realize you've eaten the whole thing. How many pieces did you eat? You ate 8 pieces. So this is equal to 1. This should be review for you because we were working on improper fractions such as 8 over 4 before we left over break. So this should be pretty much review for you. So this is an example of equaling 1. Another example real quick, and then I'm going to move on, is if I have this cookie and I cut it into 6 pieces, how many of those do you need to equal 1? It is 6 pieces. Okay. Again, remember what I told you before break, I love fractions because they're real, you can see them, and you can prove it. So talking about seeing and proving, there are some virtual or electronic manipulatives that I want you to work with a little bit if you get stuck this week. So I want to show you where those are at on the slide real quick. This is one of the slides. The video is going to be right here. This is your weekly math review. And then these are your equivalent fractions, okay? Over here are resources. We're going to get to this in a minute. This is if you'd like to print it off. It's also printed off in your packet. Those are fraction strips. But this is your virtual manipulatives. So I'm going to click there. And it comes up as nothing. And I realize over here that mine gets stuck because it doesn't want to use Adobe Flash. So I'm just going to click and I'm going to allow it to run. Yours might not have that problem. Right? Now, it's still blank. I need to find the manipulatives I want. I can sort it by grade. I'm not going to. I'm just going to come right down here and I'm looking for something that has to do with fractions. Here it is, F's, fraction circles. Nope, I want the fraction tiles. I click on that and here they are. Does that not look a lot like what we use in my classroom as manipulatives, except mine were cubes or the blocks, remember? Okay, so I'm going to start with 1/2 and I want to find an equivalent fraction to half. So equivalent, again, remember, means equal to. So I'm going to see, is this equal to? I have to move this around a little bit. Nope, that's not equal to. So I wonder if 2 of these, or 2/3, would be equal to. I have to play with this a little bit and kind of mash them up next to each other and really force them. No, that is not equal to. So I'm going to just move them out of the way. Maybe if I throw them down here to the trash can. Yep, they went in. Okay, so thirds didn't work. I'm going to try fourths. I want to get it as close as I can so I can visually see it. 1/4, no. Again, I'm trying to pretend they're the cubes we have in the classroom and connect them. Yes, 2/4 is equal to half. All right, now I'm going to try fifths. Again, just be patient with it. I have to chase it around a little bit. See, there's 2/5. Nope. Can already see that 3/5 is going to be way over. Yep, proved at 3/5. Oh, didn't go in the trash can, but it's out of my way. 3/5 is too much. Let me try the 6th. There's 1/6. 2/6. Not enough. I'm wondering what 3/6 will look like. Yes, 3/6 is perfect, right? I will challenge you that if you like to do this on your own, There are several more combinations of fractions that are equivalent to 1/2. But for now, I'm just going to leave that the same. I'm going to leave it there and I'm going to leave it undone. And I want you to find a combination that equals 1/4. So here's my 1/4. Well, I can already tell visually that half is larger than that, right? Like we proved it here. 1/3 is also larger than that, so I'm not even going to mess with those pieces. Let's see, 1/5. Well, I'm not going to mess with that either because I can tell that it's smaller. And if I put another one over here, it's going to be too large. So no combination of 5ths is going to be equivalent to 4ths. We try 1/6. I know that that's less than 1/4, but I wonder if 2/6 will be equal. No, it's greater than. Okay, not going to work. So let me try 8ths. Again, why I like fractions is I can prove it. You can prove it. You can visually see it. So there's 2/8. Again, I'm trying to snap them together. Yes, that worked. 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8. Not going to do it, but if you'd like to come back and look at this again, there's still 10ths and 12ths that we haven't tried. One of those has a combination that will be equivalent to 1/4. I'm going to try one more, and this time I want to have not 1/3, but I want to have 2/3, just as an added challenge there. Okay. So let's see, is there any combination of 4ths that will add up to 2/3? There's 1/4. Again, I got to click those together as closely as I can. Oh, not quite, Mrs. Spitzley. 2/4. I'm not feeling good about this one. 3/4. Nope, didn't work. Trash those. The 4ths didn't work. Wondering about 5ths. 1/5. 2/5. 3/5 is too short, and I can already tell that another 5ths is going to be too much. So no 5ths are going to add up to 2/3. That leaves me with 6. It's 1/6. I don't know. I'd love to hear some feedback from you when you mess with these, and if you use these tools, or whether you end up using the paper tool that was provided in your packet, which one you liked the most, or whether you really miss the manipulatives we have in the classroom. All right, did that work? Yes, it did. So 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. Again, I will stop there. We still have left undone and untried 8ths, 10ths, and 12ths, but I will tell you that one of those combinations will still work for 3rds. So it's impractical to go through life using those manipulatives, correct? So there has to be a better, a more 5th grade way, correct, of finding equivalent fractions. So let me go back to the SMART document, and I want to show you one of the other tools, one of the paper ways that you can find equivalent fractions. And your parents, if they're helping, are probably going, what is Mrs. Spitzley doing? That is not the way that we learned it as kids. And I think they'll be more appreciative of this different way of doing it. So let me go back to our document here. And let's take a look at this, okay? So let's show one of the ways that we had. Let's say, we had 2/3. And one of the fractions that we found was equivalent to that was 6. So let me say, for example, that I said, hey, we had 2/3, and I want you to find how many 6 it takes. So here's what I need you to do to be able to find that. I want you to find, Mrs. Spitzley, you put it in the wrong way. 2/3 equals how many 6? You need to find the form of 1 that you multiplied it by, okay? So to do that, we're going to take this denominator of 3 down here. And I want you to write out the multiples or the skip counting of 3. This is why you needed your multiplication chart. So follow your 3 across on the multiplication chart or your skip counting. 3, 6, 9, 12, and then the next number is 15. Hold on, I got 2 digits to pull down. Okay, so then you're looking 3 times what gives you 6 times 1 times 2. So you basically took those thirds and you cut them into 2 pieces to end up with 6. Well, you have to multiply by 1 to not change the value of your fraction. So what goes up here? It needs to be a 2, because 2 pieces out of 2 pieces is equal to 1. Then we're multiplying. This is a 4th grade thing too. So 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. And if we go back to where we were before, 2/3 is equal to 4/6. 2/3 is equal to 4/6. Let's do another one that we had done. We started out with 1/2. And let's say that I had asked you to find how many fourths that took. Goes over here. So we're going to take the denominator here, and we're going to skip count. We're going to find the multiples. So use your multiplication chart, do your skip counting. 2's are kind of easy. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I wouldn't have even had to go that far, what I have. Okay, so 2 times what is 4? 2, 4. It's 2 times. 2 goes here. Again, I need to multiply by a form of 1 because it doesn't change the value of your fraction. So how many out of 2 means 1? That would be 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. So we're saying that 1/2 is equivalent or equal to 2/4. Let's go back. Is that what we found here? Good job proving. All right, let's take a look at another one. Let's do another 1/2. But this time, I'm going to put a number up here. Doesn't change our process at all. I've got 1/2 equals 3 what? Well, this is my known right here. So I'm going to take my 1 here, and I'm going to do my skip counting. Really, Mrs. Spitzley? 1, 2, 3, stop. I'm done. 1 times what is 3? 3, right? This needs to be a form of 1. 3 pieces out of 3 pieces equals 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So 2 times 3 equals 6. So we're saying that 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6. Did we prove that right here? Yes, we did. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to this one with 2/3. I was thinking on the spot there with 2/3 because I told you before that some of these were also equivalent to 2/3. So we're going to try another one here. Let's say that I asked, here we go, 2/3. Wait, that's not one to work there. And I want to know 2/3 is equivalent to 8 what? What piece size will they have to be? Okay, so again, this is what I know. It's my piece size that's unknown. So I'm going to take my 2's at the top. I'm going to do my skip counting. 2, 4, 6, 8. I wouldn't have to go on, but I'm in the habit. 10. So 2 times what is 8? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4. This needs to be a form of 1. So 4 over 4 is 1. Now I need to multiply over here. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so 8/12 is 2/3. Did we prove it? Oops, I gave you an answer, didn't I? Okay, so those are some examples for you. I hope that helps you with equivalent fractions. For your assignment this week, you've got 2 different worksheets to work on off of the slide. The first one is just straight up where the top number is given to you and you need to find the bottom number. The second one is a little bit more difficult where sometimes the numerator is missing, sometimes the denominator is missing. Feel free on that first one to only solve half of the problems. The answer sheets are also, as always, on the second slide. You can email me. You also have my cell phone number if you guys need to give me a call. I'd love to know how you're doing, and have a fabulous week. I can't wait to see you again next week and during our Zoom meeting. Work hard, work until you're proud, and know that you're loved.